Hey there, welcome to CandTCollectibles MC. Hope you're doing well. This is your weekly sports chart blast, something like that, where we look at the price action of our favorite collectibles. Price is truth. All right, got a new microphone here. I haven't been too happy with the audio with my videos, and so I just wanted to try something different. And so I'm on a Discord with the sports card YouTuber who shall remain anonymous. Recently he decided he's too old for this game, and he's got 1/3 the amount of kids I do, and so yeah, you know, who has time for videos when you've got all that going on here? And one of the members on there who again trying to protect anonymity, but he's in the Northeast Ohio region, and he got a pretty big channel. But he's a man of few words, very soft-spoken guy. Doesn't like to hear himself talk or anything like that. And I said, "What's a good microphone?" And he's just 2 words: Yeti X. And it's like, all right, well, let's go with that. If that's, you know, it's tough to get a word out of this guy, and so when he says something, it probably means something. So that's what we're rolling with here, and we'll see if there's some level of improvement. All right, so the indices overall, we're seeing wrestling, pre-roll vintage, high pop, golf and hockey get a little bit of love over the past week here. Wrestling, and it was down a touch, I think, over the last week. So again, when you see rotations, it's not unusual to see, you know, the things that are down the most, come back the hardest, I guess. So entertainment's been a leader for a while. That index was off about 15% for the week here. And this is the card ladder database, not everything. It's just what they have in there. So digging under the hood just a little bit in that wrestling index, Triple H and the Atomic making his way back to at least recent highs here. This goes back as to 2014. There's not a lot of them that are happening here, grain of salt type stuff, and it's a $30 card. But it doesn't take much to move an index. Sometimes if you can get one card to move, that can drag it up a little bit here. And so I look at the pre-war vintage, Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth, dominate the index there, but we're not seeing any movement whatsoever over the previous week. So the pre-war vintage index is up, 64 basis points, but nothing in there has been, transacted upon. So I'm trying to figure out how that works here. I'm trying to wrap my tiny brain around that, and it's like I can't figure out. I'm missing something here. But let's look at Lou Gehrig anyways. This is the 33 Gaudi. In a nice uptrend here, very thin volume. Again, grain of salt type stuff here. We're just having some fun here. But hey, last couple of times in this area, it was a buy, and so this thing doesn't come up very often. But if you see one, that may be the price for now. So good luck, happy hunting. Gary Trent Jr. in that high population index with a monster rip off the bottom of the range, and it is coming out of it. And so you don't have to chase it here. But again, we're talking about a $38 card. So if it came back into $25 or something like that, $20, maybe that's the price on that one. Don't think too hard on this. But what we're trying to show here is that the low population cards are getting a little bit of love here. People don't think too much. If there's a $20 card, it's 25, 30, whatever, paying $40, people aren't going to think too hard about that. So that's where profits can be made at this point here. Again, as people start to leak back into the markets, they're probably more comfortable with the lower priced cards. So we're seeing those high end versions of cards, some of them on really notable players that are having a lot of relevance right now. If they're having a terrific season or whatever, those cards, the high end versions of them are doing just fine. But for now, the speculation is in the low end part of the market here. So another one in that vintage is Gordie Howe. PSA 1 in the, was it the 54 tops or something like that, whatever. This one doesn't come up very often either. Sitting at the all-time high. So again, there's going to be demand for the rare, the vintage, things of that nature. It doesn't take too many people to overwhelm whatever supply is out there on that kind of stuff. But again, the speculation, a lot of the action is going to take place in the lower end. I think people buying these are just going to hang on to them for a while here. All right, entertainment index getting walloped over the past week, down 14-15%. Dave Portnoy was one of the bigger droppers in that index here. So again, too much too fast. We're talking about a $23 card. Again, when there's not a lot of action, then you can have some of these bigger movements really kind of exacerbate the movement of the entire index. So if you're looking for a Dave Portnoy card, there you go. Looks like a great spot if you want that 2014 Allen and Ginter. When he first started to really to meme his way into the internet on Twitter and all that kind of stuff, that was a pretty big rip. He and the Egg. And so they both have same amount of relevance, I think, in the card world here. Luke Skywalker in the Entertainment Index also coming up top of his range, bouncing off just a little bit. Buying is taking place there. And if you're looking for a Luke Skywalker in a middle grade, PSA 7, seems like a decent enough price that we've had lately. These consolidations typically break in the direction of the previous trend, which is down. But for now, it's like, well, buying has been quick in these areas. And so let's see if that happens again here. All right, get into some of our regulars here. Mike Trout. This is the, I'm just fascinated by this card. We've looked at it over the past couple of weeks, and it's like, wow, this is just, people are really off the all-time great, one of the top 5 players of all time bandwagon, and they're more of the, yeah, you're a really good player, he's a Hall of Famer, one of the best of our generation, but best of all time. I think that narrative is changing, or at least people just aren't sure. It's like, how is that back issue going to play out? Is he going to, how does this affect him over the next 5 years? There's not a lot of clarity, and so you have people dumping this card. It was a $35,000 card, sitting at 8,000. I don't think we've seen much action on the last week, but it continues to put him through lows. And I'm just, gosh, is this going to make it down to sub 4,000 or something like that? I mean, you're talking, Juan Soto level stuff here, populations. I don't know. Are they about the, I think I have Juan Soto in this one, so we'll make a mental note of that, slightly under 400 number here. But, are those two going to be considered on the same part? Generational, but maybe not all time. All right, I'm in the way on this one, so give me a second. That's like a YouTube wormhole or something right there. So, when I say give me a second, like, you see it instantly, but it took me like 5 seconds. I think it goes the other way around. If I was going to travel across the universe at light speed, it wouldn't be much time. It wouldn't take me a lot of time. I would experience it in real time, but coming back to Earth would be like a couple hundred years in the future. Kind of weird how that works. All right, Nolan Arenado, future Hall of Famer Nolan Arenado, if he can put in a few more years doing what he's doing, having a terrific season, but he's doing something generational with, what does he have, 10 gold gloves, a bunch of platinum gloves. I mean, there's just amazing stuff here. And so, this price, $65. This was a $300 card at one point here. There's been plenty of action on the way down. It's just been a grind. It's been just wearing people out. But now you're at a level here where you start to see that momentum start to pick up just a little bit. And so we haven't seen that much over this decline. There's been some fits and starts, but we haven't had like the short-term momentum cross over that longer-term momentum like we're seeing it now. And so maybe this is far enough for some of these Hall of Famers here. So got another example right after this one, and they're all kind of settling in that same price. And so when we look at kind of that long-term relevance, I mean, there's the automatics, right? Pujols, Cabrera, Trout, you can say that. Then there's a handful of pitchers, Scherzer, Kershaw, Verlander. And then you start to get into kind of that next tier of guys like Arenado, Goldschmidt, Freeman, Lindor. And they should probably be priced similarly. All their cards were kind of in that same range, 2011, 2012, 2013. 2015 for Lindor. And so I don't know what the populations are or anything like that, but they should be priced similarly. And I think that's, if we can make comparisons there, maybe we can sign some sort of value. But again, that regular one, that base, Arenado, $65, you can see his Chrome, update, a little more limited, just under a couple hundred of those. PSA 10, so that's right near the bottom of its range here. And for what he's doing, it's like maybe he should be getting a little more love. But again, it's all about I gave him plenty of love. I put his chart up here twice. But again, it's really about the market demand on this one. There's always, what should be happening, and then there's what is happening. And that's why I like charts, because it tells me what is happening. It takes my emotion and what I think out of the equation here. So Frankie Lindor, breaking a level of support here. Now it's just kind of retesting that. So there may be a little bit of downside, but sub $200 for that Bowman first, 9.510 auto. Again, this is a player that his glide path to the Hall of Fame is, for players under 30 that aren't named like Mike Trout or Mookie Betts or Bryce Harper, right in that next tier. He's got one of the clearer paths, and he's having a pretty nice season. Even last year, what was considered a down year, he's still nearly a 5-win player. And so this is where, those are the guys I like to pick up, in season, a little bit forgotten about. His prices aren't reflecting what he's done and what he's doing. And so, I'm not going to say, hey, buy. Well, I'm going to say, at some point buy, I suppose. But like this seems like an interesting area that you can manage your risk. And again, for a higher end version of that card, sub $200 is a pretty good price. I mean, you can, if you're looking for, some current players that, that have the 9.5 autograph in the Bowman first. I mean, you're talking $800-900. It's like, well, I think I'd rather go this route, I think, for the time being. All right, magic number, $65. So that next year Hall of Famers, that's the price. And so we're looking at Freeman, Goldschmidt, and a couple of those guys that are really kind of in that similar path. I think that's the price I'm looking at. And, Goldie, his cards are up because he's having an incredible year. And Freeman, what he did last year and what he's doing, especially over the last month or two, he's been insane at the plate. And so, yeah, there's more recency bias. There's going to be a lot more demand. But it's like, okay, well, you go for those. I'll hang back and start picking up these guys here. Adley Rutschman, all right, looked at him a few weeks ago and said, what, gosh, this seems like if you're looking for an Adley, Seems like we're in a pretty nice buy zone here and starting to rip out of that just a little bit here. So I think we're at, gosh, it might have been $300. Now we're talking about a $500 card. And over the past really month or something, since the All-Star break, I mean, he's been the best catcher in the game. I mean, not a lot of power, so he's not going to get the love that maybe he deserves. But he's been hitting the ball off and the cover off the ball. And I mean, the power will come eventually. You got to believe. And so he's been terrific. He and Sean Murphy, those two guys, have really been leading the catcher charge since the All-Star break at least. So, all right, Juan Soto, here we go. So, yeah, where's that? Not even a population on that one. So, thanks. Is that number of cards? 370. There we go. So, I forget what we're talking about. Just under 400. So, similar population. This is not a 9-5-10, but if it's a raw version, we're probably talking, right in that range. And so, oh my gosh, it's just Trout and Soto about the same. So, anyways, the raw version sitting at a level of support here, break that. I don't know. I mean, if Mike Trout starts to travel lower and we start to see, raw versions of those Trout cards, if there's any that exist, why would you have a raw version if you're looking to get rid of it? But, if that starts to get down to $2-3 grand or wherever it's at, I mean, does that put downward pressure on the Soto, who, could he be kind of that next, all-time great generational Ted Williams, whatever type, that's a big name. That's a big name. But I mean, the way he's swinging the bat has been not a ridiculous comparison, but, could they match each other? So it'll be interesting to watch there. But again, Soto sitting at support where we've seen buying in the past here, and if it breaks, then you sell. So it breaks, retest as you sell, then go. So you could probably only one of you can probably do that. We're not going to see this steady grind of a lot of sales and transactions in there. It's probably going to be pretty quick. So, first one out the door, right? So, all right, the Chrome update again. We had our tag at previous support, which is resistance, and coming off of that a bit here. So if you are if you enjoyed this ride here and you were listening last week, what was it, 2 weeks ago, something like that, at this level, said unfavorable, wait on Soto's at this point, or if you're looking to sell, that's probably your stop. Then it is coming off just a little bit here. I don't think there's a ton of downside. He's been playing terrific. So if he comes down just a little bit more, then probably a nice spot to buy, and you saved yourself a few bucks if that is the case here. All right. Who are we looking at here? Oh, Will Smith. Yeah. One of my favorite young catchers. So, it stretches out over the past year. Not a whole lot is going on. This is the pink refractor and a PSA 10 sitting at, $75, but, he's been coming on and having a pretty decent season as well. So he's just sitting outside of those, especially recently, Rushman, Sean Murphy, and then you've got Will Smith and Alejandro Kirk for some reason. So I think there's a bright future there if you're looking for that card. Here's your kind of your support zone, that $50 area, sitting up at $75 right now, which is over the last year at least where people have kind of sold or waited. So again, if you get closer to that $50-$60 area, maybe that's a card you can do something with. Oh, Sean Murphy, speak of the devil. Not he's the devil. That's mean for me to say. You look at his Chrome Sapphire Edition autograph. This is a card that you can get for like $20. And so, not that he's been playing terrific. He's a bit older though. I think he's 27. So it's not like oh my gosh, this is a guy coming up super young. He's got this great path or anything like that. But gosh, could he be really, really awesome over the next couple of years? You're taking a $20 shot on a Chrome, which probably grades out in a 9 or 10 if that's the route you want to go. There could possibly be something there. It seems like there's some interest picking up, as much interest as a catcher gets, anyways. But I think as far as Chrome autographs, Sapphire autographs go, maybe not the worst one in the bunch, but again, it's catcher, so how many people are really going after that? And then you've got Dansby Swanson, who's been having a really terrific season, putting in some new highs for the past year on his cards, and that is I think that's the short print in the 2017 Topps Chrome. And so it's the image variation, a little bit different, a little bit more limited. There's been some interest, but again, I think the Braves, the way that they're playing, they could have some postseason relevance. And if he plays well, then sure, you could get a little bit more love. But I like it a little bit lower. It's not an expensive card. Again, you're just kind of fine tuning at this point. If I say don't buy it at $35, but gosh, it looks great at 20. I mean, does it matter that much? The way it's going, the way the Braves are going, if it does get into that $20 area, there may be some postseason love and a little bit of pop there on that one here. So, Nico Horner, He's having a really nice season as well, hitting over 300. Not a lot of power to speak of, so you're not going to get a ton of hobby love if you're not hitting those bombs. But this is another Sapphire Edition autograph right around the highs. So you're talking about a $50 card, 47, 48 bucks or something like that. So again, gotta have the bombs. I think if you're going to get a lot of love, but he's been terrific here. 25 years old. We'll break him down in a few weeks probably. So, but yeah, I think you just kind of let it go for the most part. There's there's some pretty decent demand or pretty decent supply that may come in at this level. And again, we've seen selling take place at this level in the past year. So if you're able to, and the Cubs, are they going to be postseason relevant? Not looking like it. So there's probably a better time to do that. But it's like, all right, put him on your radar here. He's been playing pretty well, and something going on. Something looks good there. So. And Carlos Rodon, terrific season pitching, top 3 pitcher for the most part here. So that's another Bowman Chrome prospects autograph. That is a raw, the 2015. And just really the last couple of years has been terrific. This year just amazing again. And another cheap card that may be worth a little bit of shot over the next couple of years here. So so there's cheap and there's inexpensive. I kind of one of my pet peeves or whatever is like, oh, this is cheap, this is cheap, this is cheap. Cheap is relative. If you want let's go with like a common player, like, hey, but here's a Brandon Crawford for $2. Like, yeah, is it cheap? It's like, well, no, it's probably expensive. And where's the upside on that? It's an inexpensive card, not going to cost you much, but cheap. It's like, it's probably fairly valued or something like that. What's the long-term potential of that card? So, so when you're looking at these things like $30 cards, like, well, maybe it's inexpensive, relatively speaking, but is it cheap? It's like, compare him to his peers, compare him to that longer-term track. It's like, you may not be the upside and therefore fairly valued to moderately expensive. Who knows? So, all right, enough jibber jabber. Mitchell Trubisky. He's getting a start, and so I think you can see a little bit of hype on that one here. And here's been a lot of buying in this area here. It gets pretty skinny. Let me just move movie magic here. So right, a lot of buying in this area. It gets thin up here, so it's easy to push around. And then again, a lot of interest back in this area. And here you are again. So this is the 2017 Prism Silver in a PSA 10. And what if he hangs on to that job? What if he rolls with it and hangs on to the jobs? Like, this may represent a pretty decent value here. So we've got, $240 on the upside, and right now we're sitting right around 100 or something like that. It's like, okay, well, here's your more immediate upside is that 125 area here. So, but again, this is where buying is taking place, and we're kind of there again, seeing that out of a lot of these guys here. Baker Mayfield. Again, here's your kind of your previous low, and we're there again. It's starting to tick up, and sounds like he may be closing in on a starter gig in Carolina as well. So there could be a little bit of action on that one too. This is the silver in a PSA 9, that Prism. So we've looked at his base in the past, and played that one pretty well. This is a lot more thin, so it's a little more difficult, but heck, that seems like a decent shot. And if, again, same thing, if he hangs on to that starter job and does anything with it, it's like that could be a pretty decent value here. Justin Fields. If people are watching some of the memes on Twitter or whatever, you see a couple of guys that are just missing brutally wide open receivers, and Justin Fields is one of them. And so people may have taken notice. Lots of buying in here, but it's leaking outside of his range. Last time it was a one-off and caught a little bit of a rip. So we'll see what happens. But that's not one that I'm saying, hey, gosh, what a great value, all that kind of stuff. It's like, it's just really been in this zone for a while, and you might be best served waiting for that to just run along without you and get above $100 and sustain it, and then that people are on board with buying that card. And another one is Tua, who again just really brutal, missing an open guy, throwing to no one so people are having fun with it. But it's like, all right, the market is kind of looking this like Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. It's like, my gosh, we could have something here. And you see, there's a lot of volume kind of picking up here. There's a lot of transactions. It's not these spikes like we had in the past. People are actually getting on board with this. And so, as that football season kind of heats up, so we'll see what happens here. But there's a lot of interest in this card, kind of at that $100 level. It's like that could work. Man, people are getting on board with it just a little bit. But on the other side of the coin, Jalen Waddle's not moving at all. And maybe they're thinking like, all right, well, he's got Tua as a quarterback, and that's not really a good sign here. But look at Jalen Waddle and his potential. 2021 Prism Silver, raw, $7. It's like, if you can find it for that price, and there's a ton of them, it looks like, if you're looking for cards that are going to move and double, it's like those, are people going to think if he has a really good game during the season, are people going to think twice about paying $20 for a Prism Silver Raw? It's like you tripled your money on that one here. So I like him a lot. He's got two, but it's like some point, something's going to click at least for a game or two, right? So Jerry Jeudy, kind of the same thing. Bottom of the range, he's ripping out of it. A lot of those young receivers. Highlighted Justin Jefferson Silver Raws last week, and those were $40. I can't find one under 60 now. So either I was just late to the party or I'm a wizard. And let's go with me being late to the party. But that is what it is. It's a little bit delayed, but I work with what I have here. So, but yeah, a lot of those young wide receivers just look super interesting here. So, except for Deebo Samuel, he's grinding. He continues to grind just a little bit lower over the last year. Again, that longer term chart, this was more of a consolidation, so he's back in that range. And yeah, I love the talent on that one here. So it's was that the Prism Silver for $20? Yeah, there you go. I think that's where I'd be looking right now if I was in this to make money, quick flips, all that kind of stuff. Looking at some of these younger skills position players in football, it seems like they're just at really interesting points here. So Jamar Chase, same thing. You're just kind of getting in an area where the market has picked up on it pretty quick, and so that's a sub. What was that called? $30 or something like that for that Prism Silver as well. So I think that's the card to go to, right? Prism Silver, I guess. So, all right, wrap up with a couple of hockey here. Kirill Kaprizov, Kaprizov. That's how I was told by our my Canadian friends here. So just you had your support level, and it's just grinding lower. It continues to grind lower. That is the Upper Deck Young Guns in a PSA 10. For me, I'd probably play it cheaper or whatever, but that trend remains down. And so he's a little bit older, but, what are an amazing talent in the game. Hockey should start to pick up here in the near future, starting to see, a little bit of talk, and then the camps, open. What do they open in like September or something like that? Or do the games open in September? Whatever, we're getting close here. So, breakout would be very bullish, but for now, that trend remains down. Austin Matthews, kind of the same thing. He had his uptrend during the playoffs, and he was just, he was lighting it up, and then you had your break, and now to bottom of the range, and a rip. So I don't think you need to chase it right here. You can let it come back a little bit. So this is where charting is helpful. When you have something that's a couple $1,000s, and it's like, hey, can I save you $200 or $300? Like, that's a big deal. If something's $40 and I save you $10, who cares? I said, Chad, you deserve your 30 views. But something like this, like, all right, maybe you should get 40 views, But all right, wait on that one. But that's it's a buy if it comes back a little bit here. Those ones, those one-offs. Nathan McKinnon, this might be your next big one to pop here. You have your previous support, and it's coming back into that zone here. So again, the trend remains down, but it's at least a level of risk reward that is somewhat favorable to you. So, all right, hey, I'm looking forward to see how this sounds with the new microphone. And maybe I wasted my money. I don't know. So it is what it is. Hey, but more important, thank you for watching. Appreciate all the support. Have a great rest of the weekend, and we will talk to you later. Bye now.